Former Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Hines calls out George Pickens for being kind of selfish, but also drops some wisdom on him and gives him some advice. So, we all know the George Pickens situation, him typing on social media, free me, and just his attitude on the sidelines sometimes when he doesn't get the ball, kind of getting mad, kind of looking slumped over whenever he doesn't get the ball and someone else does good. We all know that narrative that's going around right now. Well, Hines Ward, former Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver legend, had a talk with CBS Sports, and he had this to say about George Pickens, kind of calling him out a little bit, but then giving him some advice in the end. Here's his quote. "When you start posting tweets and giving media an opportunity to bring it up, that can be a distraction to most teams, especially Pittsburgh. Being so young, you just have to be mindful, be careful, because you can't make it all about George Pickens. You gotta make it about Pittsburgh Steelers and the reason why we have 6 Lombardi trophies in the building. It wasn't just about one player. I can guarantee you that." Also, he continued on a little bit later saying this. "I'm kind of old school. I'm more of a team first, me second guy. I just wanted to see how I can help impact the game when I'm not getting my opportunities, attempts, catches, things like that. At the end of the day, championships, that's all I'm really cared about. I don't really care about stats." Then, a little bit later, he continued on saying this. "George, he's so young, extremely talented. He wants the ball. It's not a bad thing. I love receivers who want to impact the game. But also, you have to keep everything in perspective and understand that it's not about you. Sometimes don't get caught up in drinking the Kool-Aid and thinking that it's all about you, because football is a total team sport aspect. One person can't win a Super Bowl by themselves. It takes a collective group of guys to come together to be unselfish." So that's what he had to say about George Pickens, and also he gave him some advice. But one of the hardest things for an NFL receiver to do, or just a player in general, is not to care about their own personal success and put the team and the wins first and foremost. People always say it's all about winning, but in the back of their mind, it's more about stats and then winning. So it's really hard for wide receivers or just any player to put their team first. But when you do, that's when good things happen. That's when great things happen and you start winning championships, because when you put your team forward and you put your team's success first, then you do all the extra things you need to lift up one of those Lombardi trophies. And that's what Ward has done in his career. And that's why he's able to speak on things like this. Hines Ward, he lifted 2 of those trophies, so when he talks about what it takes to win them, the words are certainly worth listening to. And also, obviously, George Pickens, he has the talent. We all know that, to be a great wide receiver in this league. He has great hands, he has great length at the wide receiver position, and he's tall. So he's able to play really well, and he's starting to get better at separation on his routes. So obviously, it's a concern when he's only getting 2 catches for -1 yards, and then the previous week 1 reception is kind of a concerning when he's only averaging 3 catches per game this season. But if that's in order to win the game, then let it be. There's no need to do those extra things when you win the game. Maybe if you lose the game, then you can have a talking to the quarterback, the offense coordinator, or say whatever you need to say when you're losing. But as of right now, the Steelers are in a pretty good position. Their record is 5-3, and yet they have not played really well this season as of yet. They have not had a showing out on offense. They've only had really showing outs on defense. So there's still an extra step the Steelers need to take, and this isn't their highest ceiling. So if this was peak Pittsburgh Steelers and you know you're not getting the ball, yes, you can complain. But right now, the Steelers are still trying to build. Kenny Pickett is still trying to get used to his wide receivers. Hopefully he throws George Pickens the ball. That's what we want to see. We want to see Kenny Pickett throw the ball to George Pickens, Pickett to Pickens, and then we also want to see Matt kind of scheme up things for George Pickens. But ever since Diontae Johnson came back, it looks like he is now the number 1 wide receiver on the team, and Kenny Pickett's go-to guy whenever he needs to throw the ball to a wide receiver and he needs someone to make a reliable catch and get open. Diontae Johnson looks like he's the number 1 target for Kenny Pickett. And that's going to be expected, because Diontae Johnson, it's not like you're going to outbeat him or outwork him. Ever since he came into Pittsburgh, he's been a really solid wide receiver. Yes, he gets hate because he drops balls sometimes and stuff of that nature, but ever since he came to Pittsburgh, he's been a really good wide receiver. He just hasn't gotten the touchdowns. And him getting his first touchdown in, I believe, 655 days, you not celebrating or you not just at least showing kind of that you're happy and you're just slumped over on the sideline looking so sad, that's why people started calling you out. That's why people started saying we miss the old guys like Hines Ward, and all my comments on my other video basically saying that they wish they had Hines Ward back and basically get rid of George Pickens. I don't want to get rid of George Pickens. I really think he's a good wide receiver, and he's still so young, 22 years old, and this is only his second year in this league. He's still getting used to this whole process of being in the NFL and having those ups and downs. He's going to have hard times, but it's just how you handle those hard times, and don't say free me and don't say stuff like that. But Hines Ward, he gives some great knowledge towards George Pickens, basically saying you can't be unselfish. I mean, you can't be selfish. You have to be unselfish. You have to put the team first and don't put yourself first. It's not all about you. So that's what Hines Ward basically had to say, calling out George Pickens, but then also giving him some advice. So, like I said, the whole story was basically George Pickens and his post on social media. Well, George Pickens actually responded to that, saying what actually happened and giving his kind of perspective on the whole situation. This is his quote: "Assumptions over a pitcher. That has nothing to do with football. Y'all need urgent care." So basically what he's saying is what he posted, basically saying that he's been toughing it out for so long that something needs to change, and he's starting tweaking out and also putting Freemy on the bottom of the picture that it had nothing to do with football. It was just, I guess, him just posting it for whatever reason, if he thought it was funny or whatever, and it wasn't about football, and the fans are taking it too far. But obviously, that's probably not what it is. He probably seen all the backlash that he was getting, and he had to say something, and that's what he decided to say. But one thing I don't like, though, is the fans trying to drive him out of Pittsburgh by being too harsh on him. Yes, he did whatever he needed to do, but there's no need to go the extra mile and basically say that you need to get those 2 feet in bounds, and you're the reason why basically all this is happening. I don't like basically saying if you want to leave, then just leave. You're kind of basically driving him out of Pittsburgh and giving him a reason for not wanting to be here. Yes, he already said free me, but going that extra mile to basically say if you want to be here, then just leave, that's going to put a bad taste in his mouth with the fan base and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you never want that to happen with a wide receiver, and especially someone with the talent of George Pickens. In this situation, instead of driving him out of Pittsburgh and saying all this stuff, sometimes you just need to let George Pickens or whatever wide receiver or player it is have their space, get over the hard points that they're going through, and let them be. Because eventually they're going to get over it, and then they're going back to playing football. Next week, George Pickens is still going to be in the Pittsburgh Steelers uniform. The week following, he's still going to be in the Pittsburgh Steelers uniform. And probably in the next 2 years at least, he's going to be in the Steelers uniform. So you don't want that bad taste in someone's mouth about the fan base just based off one situation and kind of situations of him playing football. Everything that happened is based on the football field. It's not off of it. That proves how much he wants to win and be involved in the game, because everything that happens around him is never offline, meaning it's never off the field. It's always about on the field stuff. Yes, it happened off the field, but it's about on the field. It's not in his personal life. It's on the field and him wanting to be involved in the game. And that's what you want from your Steelers players, to be involved in the game and want to contribute to this team. Because at the end of the day, it's all about Pittsburgh Steelers football, and George Pickens, it's all about football as well, because he wants to be involved and he knows he could help the team if he is involved. But with that being said, let me know down in the comments below, how do you feel about the situation, about Hines Ward basically saying to George Pickens, it's not about you and you have to be unselfish, basically calling him selfish, and him dropping advice for him. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below about the situation of George Pickens saying that it wasn't even about football and it was just a random post that he put out. Let me know your thoughts about this whole situation, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below as well if you like serious content, analysis, and reports. Like the video, turn on post notifications down below for this channel as well, so you get notified whenever I post next Steelers video. Whenever Pittsburgh Steelers news happens, I cover it right away. So if you want to stay up to date with everything, whether that be game breakdowns, film breakdown, reaction videos, or just news in general, I cover it all. So, like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.